has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible, hanging out. The bad seed, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion trigger up should do be, along with the Tutty and Tater King, the founder of the Aisle Seat podcast, the rights holder of the Sheet of Integrity, put it with the golf guru himself. Carver High this afternoon, ladies. Mafia is running it with Luke. I am your father. Today, we've got double shot with Morency. And then later, that's this hour, later in the final hour, double shot with Adam Kaplan, our NFL insider. We saw him in New Orleans at Radio Row all week off Bourbon Street. We'll get him back on today and chop shop. I got to tell you, we got a lot going on today in terms of golf at the Genesis at Torrey Pines and everything else. But I have to tell you, last night I got back from the Hated Most game, my team. We won by 35. So anyway, 12-5-2, Carver High. Stay focused. In 13 minutes, a burn. That's a point a minute. Anyway, I when I left, it was 2-0 Canada, right? So I get back, and it's like, I don't know, 5-11. There's a minute 50 left in the third. And I'm watching this game, and it's 3-3 now. Sweden's come back and tied it. The last minute 50 of the third period was fantastic. I mean, just utterly like a Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. Then, the overtime, 3-on-3. I counted 6 saves that were all goals. They all should have been goals. They were the most spectacular, miraculous saves I've ever seen almost in my life. Like these two guys, Binnington and Gustafsson for Sweden, I thought were just insanely brilliant in net. And then finally Crosby to Marner in the high slot from behind the goal line. The backhander pass, and they sniped it for the win for Canada. We covered the ticket at plus a goal and a half, minus 130, and the over. They both hit a nice double there. And all I know is I thought the game was just sickening. It was so good. And I was talking to Luke before the show. That puts to rest any doubts. I never had any doubts. You never had any doubts. Whenever you play another country and you're playing for your country, if it's the Olympics, if it's the World Cup, I don't care what it is. It's automatic. There's pride on the line, automatic. There's no such thing as exhibition or we're just having fun. There is no fun when you're taking on other countries. It's all business, and you want to win. Sweden's comeback proved it. Canada's win proved it. And I thought the 5-minute ovation for Mario Lemieux in Montreal, I was just, I was all caught up in that. He's my favorite player of all time in any sport. He was my favorite of any athlete I've ever known. Or, I've had the luxury of being friends with him for a long time, since 1986. And that's when I met Mario, and we have been good friends ever since. And I've seen him, talked to him a bunch of times. I've always been close with him. And I just am so happy for him that he got to, go home to Montreal, and they love him. And then the way they cheer for Crosby, and they're putting, did you see the Cole Harbor? And they had it up on the screen on the middle of the arena. And then Lemieux, obviously, Les Magnifiques from Montreal. So it was just a magical night for hockey fans. I thought it was as good to me as the 1980 semifinal with the USA and Russia. That's how good I thought it was.
They did do an excellent job with all of it last night with the Four Nations. I saw the first period, and then I got back in on the third period and the overtime to watch the end of it. I missed the second, but you could tell right out of the gate, and especially at the end, as you just referenced, the intensity was there.
Yeah.
If anyone had questions, the questions have been answered. guys are there to play. It's pride. They want to win this thing. And the hockey was spectacular. Best on best usually ends up that way. And sure enough, you got a hell of a game. And Sweden plus the goal and a half also was a nice way to get things going. And that lethal power play scored the first goal early in the first on the McKinnon goal. Crosby had a lot going on last night. So the Mario Lemieux moment was outstanding during the game, before the game. So nice job all around with the first night of the Four Nations. And we'll have another one tonight. Now, probably a different feel in the building because Canada's not playing. You will have USA and Finland going tonight in Montreal at the Bell Center. But still, it's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And now I think you know what we're going to expect.
They hate everyone that isn't Canadian. They boo them all. They boo them like, I mean, nobody's business. I mean, every single person that was announced that wasn't Canadian was booed.
Yeah.
I mean, they just hate everybody. They hate Austin Matthews' guts.
Well, you're going to hear Saturday night. That's what's going to make that real fun. You know, you get that Canada-USA game in Montreal on Saturday night. That is going to be a good one. That's for sure, especially with how into it that crowd is. And Montreal's a good spot for it. I think it's a better spot to have it than Toronto.
I loved calling games there. I just thought it was really special. I remember, going in there. It was probably 5 degrees outside, freezing ass. I remember walking in and everybody smokes and it was smoky. And then I walked through, they got this like Hall of Fame. They got this mini Hall of Fame set up in the hallway in the concourse with all the greats. It's just a special place. I mean, it's not the Forum, but it's definitely, for me to call a game there, for me to call a game in Toronto and Montreal and all of those places, Saddle Dome, Edmonton, everywhere I called a game. I would have really loved to have called a game in Quebec. It's funny. I did it for 1 year, and I was satisfied with my 1 year. Some people say, oh, you got this, that, fired, and I was crazy and all this other stuff. Whatever. Never missed a goal, never missed a game, and never missed a goal. Was never not paying attention, and I was very entertaining and exciting. And the thing I remember most about it was I went to every single arena in the NHL. What more is there? Like, after that, I'm like, what am I going to do this 47, 50 times? I did it once. I did the whole circuit, and some of those places meant a lot to me as a fan. And I called games. I called a game in the old barn, several of them. Multiple games in the old barn I called in that little dinky-ass press box they had up there that holds about 10 people. I did it. I called a game from a table at the old Continental Airlines at Brendan Byrne. They literally used to let the road play-by-play call a game from the seats and let fans abuse you. Same thing in Phoenix. I called a game in America West. The guy threw a beer on me.
It's those old barns are mostly a thing of the past now, but those were fun back in the day. So we've got all the hockey today. We have a lot of NBA. Of course, everyone played last night. There was a couple of overtime games, bunch of good finishes, bunch of big performances, double nickels for Murray, lots of stuff to talk about there. And the final games tonight, 5 games before we shut it down for a week for All-Star Weekend. And, man, they are pumping that All-Star Weekend. Just nonstop
when
trying
do
to get
start
some people
playing
interested.
Again next Thursday?
That's a full slate. There's actually Wednesday night one game, that Laker-Hornet game makeup in Los Angeles from the Fires a couple weeks back. So there is one game on Wednesday next week, and then we'll get a full slate. And we got the golf. We'll talk about it. It's like a U.S. Open out there today with these scores. Real tough stuff.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10 Eastern along all of our TV and radio outlets. With Gabe Morency, we get Morency with a double shot every day on C2C from British Columbia in lovely Vancouver. I don't know if you heard us talking about it, but I just thought the game was just fabulous last night. I watched the first period. I watched the third period, the end of it, the last minute 50, and then I just thought the overtime, it was the most exciting overtime I've seen in years for my money. I thought both of them made 3 big saves each, at least that were all goals. Like they were going to be goals, those shots. And then I talked about what it meant to me to see my favorite player of all time in any sport, Lemieux, get treated that way in his hometown, and the way they love Crosby and the way they boo everybody else. I just thought it was really special.
Yeah, if you're the National Hockey League, you couldn't really be happier after night one. Now, it's just one game, but it's a short tournament. There was a lot of speculation about what was this? What was it going to be? I knew it was going to be intense, right? Just because fans don't care about things or don't know about things doesn't mean the players don't. And, dude, you've got Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, and Nate McKinnon on the same team. These guys don't joke, bro. Like they don't even go to comedy. Like they don't watch funny movies. Even these, like they don't have a humor bone in their body. These three,
no.
like Nate McKinnon doesn't smile. Like he barely talks. Sidney Crosby's a good guy. He's not the most outgoing and ha type of person. You know what I'm saying? You ever seen Connor McDavid smile? I haven't.
No. He's all business.
Literally, like, oh yeah, here's your MVP. Yeah, thanks. Like these guys are serious people, and you saw it. Brad Marchand set the tone last night. Like you said, Scott, people throw around the best on best, man. When it comes to hockey, it really is special, isn't it? When you take out, and I said it last night, it's better than NHL hockey. It's like faster than NHL hockey. Binnington said it all after the game, Scott. He won a Stanley Cup. They said, what was that like being on the ice? He goes, I don't know. I can't really describe it. He goes, it was like the Stanley Cup playoffs, except faster.
Yeah, it's just better.
So that's right. But he goes, it was like the playoffs. Like, he goes, man, that felt like the playoffs, but He goes, it's just so much faster. And he goes, everybody's so good. Scott, you don't have any third or fourth liners, bro. Every guy on the ice is like a first-line guy. Like, you notice every pass is tape to tape. Bing, bing, boom, boom. Yeah. There's not a lot of mistakes because guys are just so good. It really is the best of the best. And think about it, bro. That was just the first game, Scott. They didn't even play. They didn't play the exhibition games or anything. They just got thrown together. Team Canada practiced twice. And if that's them after 2 practices, oh, boy, wait till we see what they look like next week. Right? I mean, this tournament's only a week long. The final's next Thursday. But, yeah, really, really fun hockey. And both the USA and Finland took notice last night, Scott. They were like, the players after were like, oh, my God, like, this is okay. Like, we know we need to really even bring it more than even we thought we needed to bring it right now, because that was a high level of hockey. So Finland and USA have a tough act to top tonight.
I mean, they came back, they were down, and they came back and tied it, and I thought they looked terrific. And I thought just the whole scene, I thought the building was lit. I thought everything that they did with all the legendary players that they brought out there.
Montreal
cool.
does all that stuff best. Montreal is the hockey. Montreal is hockey town. I know a lot of other cities want to do this and that, and a lot of great hockey cities, but Montreal is the mecca of hockey. Right? There's a reason why it's there. There's a reason why after John Cooper said this is the best building by far. He just said there's no best building. Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby grew up a Montreal Canadian fan. Right? I mean, was soaking it all in last night.
Yeah.
People from Montreal pulling for him. Crosby's father was drafted by the Canadians. Sidney Crosby's father was a goalie. Never made it to the NHL. Played in a minor league system for the Habs. But Crosby loved.
Can you imagine if Lemieux had played for them?
I don't think he would have wanted to.
Thank God he did.
Mario was a kingpin with the Laval Titans when he was a teenager. Yeah. Mario Lemieux is a serious legend in Montreal. It's one of those deals. Most of the modern players haven't had that local superstar, the Montreal Canadiens.
I mean, Laval was right there in Montreal, right?
Yeah, Laval is like
South.
I guess the best way of putting it, it'd be like it's like Long Island or something.
Yeah.
It's like an island off, like outside of Montreal, but it's like it's hardcore. It's the second biggest city in Quebec, actually. It's freaking big. Like,
I can't tell you like what it means to me, seriously, to be friends with him. Like, I've been friends with him since '86, and I ran into him at the airport when I don't know if you remember me telling you that story. I ran into him during the Steelers season. That it was the weekend of the Ravens game when the Steelers beat him 18-16, and I was at the baggage carousel, and I looked over and saw him, and everyone's mobbing him and everything else. So I just went over and I said, "God, are you old?" And he hugged me. We talked for 15 minutes. I know his wife, Natalie. I've known him since he was drafted. He's been great to me. We've been friends all these years. He's just the most humble, nice guy you ever met. Like, he let Crosby live with him when he was drafted, just like he was 18 living with Mario for his first year or two in the league. And I just thought, it just meant so much to me to see him last night. So brilliant in Montreal. And I said to Carver, calling a game there for me gave me full chub. Like, I was like, I'm calling a game at for him, it didn't matter to me. I'm at the Bell Center. It was 5 degrees outside. All the memorabilia they got in there, just the atmosphere in there. Same with Toronto and the Foster Hewitt. I loved all of it. I loved it so much. It was so cool.
The Forum was the building, though. Like, we should be noted, they've never won since they moved from the Montreal Forum. I don't understand why they didn't build a replica of it like Yankee Stadium did. Like, just build a new version of it. Instead, like, they came up with sort of this generic new building. It does have history in it, but they screwed it up.
Yeah.
slow play drumbeat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scavern, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
At some point, these 80s are going to learn we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience who's gone out and recruited, who know how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? You're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's is offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So Crosby got the #1 star. He had 3 assists. He assisted on the winner to Marner, and he was the best player on the ice. Now, I hit that plus a goal and a half at -130. I hit the over. Who do you like tonight with USA and Finland? And what's your reaction to what I just said to you in the break, that I thought they should have played it next week at the world's most famous, not at the Garden in Boston? To me, the old Boston Garden was better than, obviously the new building's nicer, but the old Boston Garden was like the Montreal Forum. It was a special place. And so was Chicago Stadium, way cooler than the United Center. I thought they should have had this event next week in New York, to be honest with you.
Well, there's different reasons why they don't. Scheduling conflicts, cost, expenses. They wanted it to be, they needed 2 quick cities that were close to each other. So, you could mix and match. It could have been a few cities. Could have been Toronto and New York, or Toronto and Detroit, or whatnot. I think Scott's sort of better in cities. It just would have been an afterthought in New York, right? At least, in Boston. And I get it. I totally agree with you. MSG is MSG, but Boston as a whole is a better hockey city than New York is.
I think it's a better college hockey town. It's not a better pro hockey town.
That's overall, though, Scott. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a hockey rabid city. I know the Rangers are and New York is a big time hockey city too. It's bigger than people realize, actually, I think, from the outside looking in. But there's certain cities, like Boston was a good fit for with the USA stuff, and the USA hockey. I have a lot of connections, and it's super close to Montreal. Was back and forth. And listen, we could pick. Listen, I'll put it this way: nobody really cared where this tournament was before. Now it's like, oh, well, it should have been here and it should have been there. It's like, well, okay, so now people actually care and they see it's good. They're going to be doing a World Cup next, Scott. So I'm going to give credit to the NHL for this, because the NHL doesn't do anything right, basically, off the ice. Like they don't know how to market their league. They don't do a lot of good things. So props to them for figuring this out. All right, they did this little 4 thing, and now let's just be real. It's cool, but what about Russia? What about the Czech Republic? What about all these other, hockey? The MVP of the league is Leon Draisaitl. He's not even in the tournament because his country's not there. Right. So we can say best on best. Is Ovechkin there? No. So Russians are pretty good at hockey. So now they're going to do like the World Baseball Classic, basically. They're setting it up. Every 2 years is going to be an international tournament now with pro players. They're going to do the Olympics every 4 years, and they're going to do what they're going to call a World Cup of Hockey. They announced yesterday every 2 years with 8 countries or more. So it'll start to expand. And now, Scott, my point is, they told cities, you want in on this? Tell us, bid on it. So there it is. You know, was Dolan interested in hosting this? Did Dolan really care? Was he worried about?
Do you think there were numbers? I don't think Dolan's stupid. There's one thing, people hate Dolan, but he's a moneymaker, and
yeah, but Scott, that's
players.
The point.
He runs everything. He's a badass. People just don't like him.
You're not filling up Madison Square Garden, bro, for a Finland and a Sweden game, are you? No, Dolan's smart enough to realize this isn't big enough for my venue.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think they could fill Madison Square Garden for anything. They filled it for Billy Joel like 50 times in a row. Like, honestly, after a while, how many times can I hear it? So here's the deal. No, listen.
I don't want to insult people on that one. I don't get that one.
Do you think people watched it last night? Like, because most people don't care about hockey. Now, I watched. I thought it was incredible. I loved every minute of it. But do you think anybody else gave a rat's ass?
Well, I know in Canada the ratings will be massive. In the United States, I would imagine no, not last night.
Right.
Tonight it was Canada and Sweden. That's the whole thing, Scott. People in America don't only care about American things. That's what I'm saying. For Dolan, all right, yeah, it's all cool. You get USA in there, but I don't think MSG was looking for to try to sell tickets to a Finland-Canada game, right? I mean, you can sell that. You know what I mean? Like people. Hell, there's a bunch of Montreal Canadian players on Finland tonight. They're going to be people are going to be pulling for him.
He had the dog show in there the other night. He had, and
that's what I'm saying.
The dog show gets better ratings than the NHL.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, Scott, about MSG. It would be more of an MSG thing. Going, no, we just don't think this is best for our program.
But you lived here. You know how cool the Garden is. Stop it.
Love the arena.
I mean, you walk down in the tunnels and see all the legends and the Rolling Stones and everybody else that have played there, Led Zeppelin. It's just the craziest
but you
arena
drop it in
ever.
Minnesota,
It's the greatest
people
arena
don't get
ever.
it.
It's the greatest arena ever.
At some point, these 80s are going to learn we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience who's gone out and recruited, who know how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Couple things from that game at the Garden last night, Mike. One, Trae Young owns the Knicks. He's living rent-free, penthouse in their head, and they cannot shake that team for any reason whatsoever. And two, the Knicks can't stop a runny nose. I mean, everyone's talking about how great the Knicks are, that they win in overtime, 149-148. They give up 148 points. Whenever they play any team at all, like that's good, I don't even think the Hawks are good. They just own the Knicks. And when they play good teams like Oak City and Boston, they get annihilated because they don't play defense at all. And Thibodeau's known for defense, but those days are over. That team, with all their, Brunson last-second shots and everything else, they're not winning anything. They are not winning anything. They will not win an NBA championship with that team to save their ass because they can't stop anything.
They cannot stop anything. It was a wild game at the Garden last night. And you mentioned it. Some big performances in this game. Cat had 44 and 10 boards. He hit 7 threes. Brunson had 36 with 8 dimes. Trae Young had 38 points and 19 dimes. But there was no rolling of the dice. Remember when he was rolling the dice on the Knick logo when they went to Vegas for that NBA Cup earlier this year? Yeah. No rolling of the dice last night as the Knicks get it done late. Brunson bucket and then the stop in overtime on MSG.
Brunson defended by Daniels. Brunson puts it up and gives the Knicks the lead. 149-148. They get it into Okongwu. Now Young. 7 seconds. Knicks lead by 1. Trae Young driving on Bridges. Puts it up. No good. Okongwu the rebound. Niang corner 3. No good. The Knicks win. The Knicks hang on and defeat the Hawks in overtime. 149-148.
Did you see how they blew the 6-point lead to force overtime?
Yes.
I mean, they are awful defensively, just awful. And the great barrier thief, did you see him pick off that pass and get that layup? So I don't have any faith in them at all to win anything. They don't play defense.
Well, the funny part is that it's got to be driving Tibbs nuts, right? Because you know that he wants to play a tight defensive game. He don't want any of this 280-plus points being scored in a game every single night. He was happy with the win, though, despite all the points given up.
I think it's huge. Obviously, we didn't play as well as we would like, but I love the resolve, to, what happened at the end of the game, then go into overtime and just find a way to win. And that's what this team has done, all year. So, we're scoring a lot of points, but obviously there's room to improve too.
Yeah, I mean, it's all on the defensive end that they need to change the team. The dynamic is just not there. I mean, look, when they played at the Garden over the weekend with the Celtics, they got annihilated. When they were up in the first half, they were up 30. And then in the second half, they got it to 3, and then it was back up 30 again. They cut the lead to 3, and then they just stopped playing defense. And within 5 minutes, it was a 30-point lead again. I have never seen a team so weak on the defensive end just give up buckets in droves. The Celtics, when they're playing the Knicks, let's face it, they're the champs. And people have the Cavs way ahead of the Knicks as well. But when the Celtics are playing the Knicks, they're actually, in my view, when I'm watching them play, it's like they're laughing. They're like, this is easy. This is easy work. And, light work, they call it. They're moving the ball around. They're getting wide open shots, one after the next, burying threes, dunks. I mean, the first play of the game on whatever it was, Saturday, Sunday, whatever day, Saturday night, whenever it was. First play of the game, Tatum went from the wing right in and posterized somebody. On the first play, the first bucket of the game, they're like, you can't beat us. They can't beat Boston. They just can't. So you can score all the points you want. If you can't beat the champs, you're nothing. I mean, you're not winning anything.
They are 53-18. It's the best 53-game start
I don't care.
Since 1997.
I don't care.
But yes, stopping really
Zero
good teams
chance.
is. You said it. I mean, they got flogged at home by the Celtics and the Thunder in the last month, and that's really all you need to know about their future prospects going forward. All right, next. Late night. I'm sure maybe you were watching the end of this when you got home from your game. Mavs beat the Warriors 111-107. Again, some big performances in this game, but none bigger than Kyrie Irving last night. Your boy picked it up in the second half to finish with 42, putting the Mavs ahead for good on ESPN.
Curry penetrates. Pajemski fires. Missed the three. Curry sneaks in to get the offensive rebound. And the putback ties the game at 104. Steph Curry up to 24 points. He's had 4 consecutive 30-point games. Boy, Marshall was wide open. Didn't want to shoot the three. Hands it off for Irving. He'll try it. And hit it. 42 for Kyrie.
I mean, we said it yesterday. Their entire team was out. They'll probably still win, and they did. And we wanted to ride the Dubs, and we did. And I took that dangerous bet and got burned because, once again, the theory holds true. The more guys that are out, the more they'll win the game and cover. And he carried him on his back literally by himself all night. And I thought, and again, we even said, watch out for Clay. And he had his numbers as usual as well.
He certainly did. Clay got out to a hot start. He had 4 threes by the half last night as he was in fuego. Clippers beat the Grizzlies last night, 128-104. Actually, one more thing, because this got mixed up for me. Did you see Kerr get the tee coming back from the commercial break during the game? And not only that, did you see him whining and complaining after the game? The audio wasn't good enough for me to play, but this guy's always complaining about something. He's upset that, they're going to made us play so late tonight, and now I got to sit everybody tomorrow because we're playing early in Houston. Is there anything this dude doesn't complain about anymore, Steve Kerr?
I think you're right. So there's nothing else to say. He's always get off my lawn now. He's turned into a grumpy old coach. I think it's because he's got all those rings and from the Bulls, all the rings from the Dubs, and he's got Olympic gold. And he's the, on the top shelf of hierarchy in the league. He's got more juice. I think Popovich and Kerr have more juice than anyone. It used to be Phil Jackson, and now it's Popovich and Kerr. And Kerr is the top dog now because Popovich has been out.
He certainly has. The Clippers beat the Grizzlies 128-114, 25 for Kawhi last night as the Clippers get themselves a victory at home. Magic beat the Hornets 102-86. Pacers beat the Wizards. So the Wizards covered at home again, 134-130. But, man, I'll be honest with you, they blew that game. Wizards should have won. And they let the Pacers come back in the last 2 or 3 minutes in regulation. And then they got them in the overtime. Pacer win. Nets beat the Sixers 100-96. The Nets have won 6 of their last 7. They've held opponents under 100 points in each win. They're creeping just outside the play-in tournament now. The Nets getting involved.
They play defense, and that's what the Knicks don't do. And so you hold 7 straight opponents under 100. That's really saying something. In the NBA today, to hold 7 straight teams under 100 is phenomenal. It really is. And so now all of a sudden, here's Brooklyn in the scene. They're in it for a play-in spot. You keep playing D like that, they're going to get in.
At some point, these 80s are going to learn we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience who's gone out and recruited, who knows how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? You're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
So, speaking of crying, Paul George, he's now whining about his pinky. Is that why he's so awful this season? I mean, he's done nothing with the Sixers.
Well, last night was probably one of the worst nights for him this year. We know he's missed a lot of games with a variety of injuries. There was no Embiid and no Maxey in the game, so you're thinking PG's got to step up a little bit. Not quite. 1 for 7 from the floor. In 37 minutes, he had 2 points. Paul George, 2 points. And then I guess, there was some belly aching about, what was it, his finger or something?
His pinky.
I mean, get serious. I think it's time. Shut it down. PG finish. I mean, he robbed the Sixers of all this money. He robbed them. I mean, it just too many injuries now. Just too much.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. Guys, just not, he's broken down. He shouldn't be part of any big 3 anymore. Like I saw the Sixers' big 3 hasn't gotten off the ground this year.
They don't have anything.
They're broken down. I mean, it's finished.
Embiid never plays. The only player on that team is Maxi Pad. That's it.
Yeah. Embiid, no back-to-back.
What a
for
shame.
Embiid, right?
What a shame. I got to tell you, how will I ever get past, the Eagles win a Super Bowl and then, the Sixers going to win a championship for the first time since '83. I mean, it's got to be Philly, right? They're awful.
The only Philly team we like here is the Phillies because of Harper. It's only because of Bryce Harper we like the Phillies.
Bryce Harper. That's
because
it.
of Bryce Harper.
I don't like the Phillies at all. I like him.
Have you seen these videos? Harper's become like a internet sensation. Like he makes Philly cheesesteaks and these different shakes he's making at his house. He's become like a at-home food star during the off season. You got to look some of his stuff up. It's amazing. He's got to go back to spring training though. Now he's going to have to end
I will say I've seen a tremendous turn of events even at the Ferrall Play Show. So my son got at San Diego State. He got a fryer. Right? Have you ever seen these air fryer cookers?
Yeah.
So I've never been around anything. I don't know. I couldn't make eggs, but so he bought one for the hizzy. And so we have this big air fryer machine now. And I mean to tell you, this thing cooks everything. It literally cooks everything. I mean, anything you can imagine on earth, it cooks. And it cooks it perfectly. I mean to tell you, we used to make like fries in the oven and they'd come out like rocks. And then in this fryer, they come out like McDonald's, man. It is just, I mean, I make tater tots in this thing, bro. They're like gold. I mean, they're just so good. The air fryer for an amateur, like if you're like a college kid or I don't cook, right? So I don't know how to cook. So for me, everything's just, I'll eat anything I see. But I may, like, I've been looking for, what do they call them? When you make the, recipes. So I'm looking for meal recipes for the fryer. So I'm out searching for things to make in it. And there's like cookbooks and everything for it. And we've turned a whole new corner and leaf at the Ferrall Palatial with the air fryer cooking. Just fantastic. So, Bryce, you ain't got jack on me, son. And we got the ninja
Bryce
for making
Harper.
shakes, too. I'll kick his ass making shakes. The ninja.
I got the ninja, and I just upgraded the air fryer. I had a smaller one, and we upgraded to a larger unit just at Christmas time. They are great. They're outstanding. I love it. Next up for you, big night in Denver for the Nuggets. They beat the Blazers 132-121. Joker had his 25th triple-double of the season last night, but the big performance was Jamal Murray. Double nickels, 55, a career high for Jamal Murray everywhere on Altitude Sports.
He's trying to extend their win streak. Murray pulls up. Bam! Now Jamal Murray with 53 now for CB. Murray missed Jokic. Murray in on Simons. Will fall away. That's good. 55.
That's crazy. Honestly, if I had a double nickel, I wouldn't even wear clothes. I'd just walk right in Times Square naked and be arrested. It's just a double nickel, a 55 burger. That's just, honestly.
That's no joke. I remember we had a talk a couple weeks ago, like, what happened to this guy? Like, he's had such a quiet year. He's picked it up recently. He's started to must be getting healthy because he's really started to get things cooking. Here he is, gives all the credit to his teammates for the big performance. It looks like they all signed the ball and gave it to him, too. Nice job.
It means everything. It's not obviously I shot the ball well, but, they're hunting for me to get the ball and really rooting for me to go get it. And obviously I've been here my whole career, so just seeing all the same faces and being in this in Denver, just making the most of the moment. And, I've been here for 9 years. So, like I said, it's just, for me, it's just years of chemistry with those guys, and they know me, I know them, and tonight was just them looking out for me. So I know I shot the ball well, but I brought the ball up here just because I couldn't do without them, and that's why we're such a good team.
They got a ring, I'll give him that. So the guy knows how to play, and he can shoot. He's got game. He's got great handle. And he, I think his spacing is phenomenal. He can shake and bake and get that space you need to get that shot off. I mean, in this day and age with so many bigs and so many guys that have length that can reach out and block a shot from 5 feet away, there's guys with arms that go down to the floor. To get that space, he's one of the best at it. He can snap. There's no doubt he can snap a shot off.
And the Nuggets have now won 8 in a row as they hit the All-Star break. They have got themselves up to the 3 spot in the West. They're only a half game back of the Grizzlies for the number 2 in the West. So suddenly Denver 36-19 after a very slow start. They have had a couple of really big winning streaks. DeAndre Ayton for the Blazers, left calf strain. Done at least 4 weeks. He'll be reevaluated. Always hurt.
slow play drum beat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scavern, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
At some point, these 80s are going to learn we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience who's gone out and recruited, who know how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
But if it ends up being 1 versus 2, which seems likely because the Cavs had a 5.5 game lead over Boston, the Celtics 3 games clear of the New York Knicks.
They're not unstoppable, not running away with everything, but for them to blow a 5.5 game lead on the backstretch in the NBA, already being a quality team outside of disastrous injuries, I don't buy that at this time.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I was just going to do something horrible on the air, but I
can't say anything bad. You can't keep going after the guy going down in New Orleans.
I don't even care about him. The guy that I hope gets chlamydia is the guy that was in charge, who I went out and had a conversation with, and he told me he'd reach out to me and take care of it. And I knew he was. I looked at him and I go, I know you're lying, right? I go, you're not fooling me, dude. Like, I'm from New York, dude. What do you think? You're going to pull a fast one on me? Like some dude from New Orleans? You're gonna lie to me and I can't tell your face twitching. I know you're not going to do anything for me. But I swear to you, I wanted to beat his ass. Oh, man. I was this close, too. And I mean, Mafia, we were at dinner, and Mafia goes, don't go back out there, whatever you did. I was sitting next to him, and he knew, and the boss was sitting to my right. Mafia sitting to my left. The boss looks at me, and he goes, are you all right? And I go, I'm just warm. And Mafia goes, don't go out there. You're sweating. He goes, you're going to have another heart attack, or you're going to end up in handcuffs. You're going to go get in a fist fight, aren't you? And I go, I am going to go get in a fist fight. I wanted to get in a fist fight so bad. Like, I was going to go out. I told this dude, like, oh, I'm going to beat someone's ass right now. I was so mad. I mean, I was so mad. I was Fred Flintstone. I had sweat just pouring out of my face. I was soaking wet. And Mafia's like, don't go out there. I thought it was so funny. And now I got to go get it fixed. And just whenever I look at it, I just think of this dude. I want to punch his face in.
It bothers you. I know. It's understandable. It's understandable. I know you're going to turn this on at the top of the hour when the Golf Channel comes in.
I am.
You're going to love this.
I made all your bets last night. I made them all.
In the last 20 minutes, I have seen more 5 to 8 foot putts get missed. Like, these guys are just having a miserable time.
Good.
Rory,
it's the Open Championship.
Hovland, they're all missing these 5 to 8 footers because the conditions are so tough. It's been raining out there. I've seen some umbrellas. It might have tapered off at this second, but it's been wet out there.
They said between 1 and 4, it's going to be the worst. So it's literally 1 o'clock there in 5 minutes.
I mean, the flag on 6. They got Morikawa on 6 right now. The flag is like not as bad as it was 3 weeks ago at the Farmers, but it's moving pretty good. I mean, it's almost half sideways right now here. So lots of fun at the Genesis at Torrey Pines. All right, Jazz beat the Lakers last night, 131 to 119. That was a cover. You said the Jazz showing up after they got whacked the other night, and the Lakers were looking forward to a vacation. Luka did play 23 minutes, so basically the same thing he did on Monday night. He had 16 points, 4 boards, and 4 dimes.
5
and
turnovers.
He hit a couple of
he played terrible. And let me tell you something. Is there anything worse than them showing all the Laker highlights on ESPN when they lose a game? Like, they lost.
Yeah.
And you would have thought they won the way they show that. They don't even show Jazz highlights at all. Like, maybe one marketing shot. That was it.
They don't show any Jazz highlights. It has been a very long week for Dalton Connect. Of course, he was traded to Charlotte.
I love him.
Had to come back to L.A. He spoke for the first time after the game last night about what a wild week it's been.
It felt like a movie, after that game.
White boy Red.
Came back that night, or not that night, the next day, went to go get some shots up in the gym. 20 free throws in. I usually always shoot 25 right before I shoot. And, Rob called me up there and told me the news. It's hard. I got drafted here, so LA means a lot. So, hearing that, then I go to Charlotte in the morning with one of my guys, and then, get introduced and start meeting all those people, and then fly out to Detroit to what's called my debut game, to then now I'm flying back to LA. Rob called me and said, you're coming back, and, I was just excited just to go out there and hoop no matter where I was going. I just wanted to go hoop. I told that to JJ and Rob. I get it's a business, so at the end of the day, I told them, let's go play basketball.
I hope he got some frequent flyer miles with all those trips.
Listen, let's stop with all the bullshit here. They were dealing his ass faster than you could spit, and it's got to be awkward to get dealt, and then in 48 hours you're back because the deal was rescinded. He's got to be very nervous he's got to be walking on eggshells in L.A.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? You're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.